Today we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of the town of West Hartford, Connecticut. I'm a local realtor here. I live here myself. My kids are going through the school system now as we speak. I've helped a lot of families move here and sell here, buy and sell. And throughout that whole process, I've learned that there's certain things that people tend to love about the town, and then there's other things that can be a bit frustrating, right? So I think it's important for people to understand both perspectives. So whether you're thinking about moving here or whether you're just trying to gain a little more information about the town, I think this video is going to be really helpful. Now, don't be shy. If you have questions, you can call, you can text, you can email. We get people who watch these videos all the time reaching out, and my team and I, we are always happy to help. So don't hesitate to call or reach out. If it's helpful, if after the video you like what you've heard, click subscribe. That's one of the ways that I can tell if the content is useful and if it resonates with you. So let's get into it. Let's take a look at the first pro. So pro number one is West Hartford's vibrant town center. There's Blueback Square with Barnes and Nobles, restaurants, shopping. There's the center up here where we are with more restaurants, coffee shops, boutiques. The town's always doing community events down here in the center. There's a farmer's market down here. It's a great spot to just pull up, find parking, walk around, and find something different to do each day. So pro number two is West Hartford is centrally located. And honestly, that's what brings a lot of people to start their real estate search here, is the convenience West Hartford has to a lot of different places. There's certainly a lot of hospitals in the area. It's certainly close to Hartford itself, where there's obviously a lot of business there. But it's also close to bigger ticket items, such as New York City and Boston. It's kind of smack dab in the middle of both of those things. It has great access to I-84 and I-91, which are two of the major highways here in Connecticut. So the convenience is what kind of attracts people to start their search here. And then as they learn more about the town, they start to see if it actually aligns with them or not. So let's talk about more of the pros. So pro number three is the school system or school district of West Hartford, Connecticut. They're consistently ranked in the top schools in Connecticut and also nationally. They have great public schools, and there are lots of good private school options in the area. The two major high schools that are public are Hall and Conard. The private schools are Renbrook, Watkinson, Kingswood, Oxford. Also very good options for a lot of families in the area. I myself have children that have come up through the school district, or still in the school district now, the public schools. We love it here. It's really a good community feel. There's lots of extracurricular activities and different sports in the community, which I think is great because no matter what your children's interests are, there's something to get them involved in. And it's really a good supportive environment, whether you're doing extracurricular activities or going to fun activity nights within the school system. It helps really make it a good community feel. So pro number four is West Hartford has a lot of great parks and outdoor spaces. One of the things that I love about the town is it has a lot going on. You're close to everything. But there's also some parts of it that really make you feel like you're in a suburb, or gives you that nice slower pace of life feel, kind of all in that same area. So there's Elizabeth Park, which is an iconic historic park, which tends to be a little busier, but there's beautiful rose gardens and walking trails over there. They do a lot of events over there. There's the Pond House, where you can actually go out and eat there. So there's lots of, it's a little busier. But then there's other areas of town, like there's two reservoirs with beautiful walking trails. It's very quiet. It's very much in nature. There's Westmore Park, which is kind of more outdoorsy as well, but there's also some animals there you can view. You can actually walk into a little booth where there's lambs and ducks, and the kids can go right up to them and feel it, which kind of gives you that nice suburban farm feel. And again, it's all here in the same town. Then there's Fern Ridge Park, where there's a splash pad and an outdoor swimming pool. And there's also private golf clubs. There's Hartford Golf Club, there's Tumblebrook Golf Club, there's Wampanoag. So there's different levels of golf clubs for those golf enthusiasts. Full disclosure, I am not a golfer, but I know many people are, so I like to kind of share those options with it, and have lots of friends and clients who really enjoy those more private clubs as well. So kind of like the school system, whether it's public access you're looking for or private, there's really options for everybody. pro number 5. West Hartford is very walkable. We're actually right now on Trout Brook Trail, which is a nice walking or biking trail set up here in town. Many of the neighborhoods, not all of them, but many of the neighborhoods do have sidewalks. It's very common, which makes walking very safe on the back roads. A lot of the main roads have sidewalks. There are bike paths on a lot of the busier roads on the side of the street for biking. And then of course the center, they're actually in the middle of a construction project now, but they are actually widening the walkways in the center of town, so it's easier to move around down there too. It's always been a very walkable spot, but now it is going to even create some more space. So because everything is close, you don't necessarily have to drive places. You can find a spot in the center park, and then you can kind of go off and spend a day or an afternoon there, depending on your life. There's a lot of different options to be active without necessarily going in the gym, which is great. A lot of folks like that. So pro number 6 is healthcare. This is one that I didn't necessarily realize until more recently. It's not something I thought about earlier in my career, but I started to hear it over and over from clients who said, we're going to stay here because of how great the healthcare system is in this area. A lot of other states don't, from what I hear, don't have the choices and support that we do here. So in West Hartford, for example, we're very close to Hartford Hospital, St. Francis Hospital. We're close to CCMC, which is the Children's Medical Center. There's also more than one chiro, physical therapist, urgent care, right? There's not just one of these things. Some of the smaller towns, you might have one. There's a lot. Dentists, right? There's a lot to choose from, which I didn't necessarily realize it in the beginning, but the more and more I talk to clients who have been here a while, I can hear the appreciation in their voice as they get older. So this was a recent ad, pro number 6, that I thought was important to mention. Now that we've talked about the pros, I also want to take a look at the cons, because every town has its pros and its cons. And the interesting thing about pros and cons is what one person may consider a positive, someone else may consider a negative. So I'm going to share from my experience some things that I've learned from folks that have moved here that they have thought as negatives, and also as someone that lives in town myself, something that maybe rubbed me the wrong way on a day-to-day basis. So the first con is the construction. Because the town is so proactive with keeping up with things and making it look nice, it also creates a lot of noise and inconvenience in the short term. So long term it's great, short term it can be a bit frustrating. There's been many a morning commute where I've been driving through town expecting to be somewhere, and we get a last minute road closure because of a new construction project. So it does seem that something's always going on construction wise here, which again, frustrating short term, but long term, the town really does keep up well. The sidewalks are kept up, a lot of the streets are kept up, the shrubberies, etc. So the second con I want to talk about is cost of living. And I know this is a big one with a lot of folks, but it's something to address. The properties in West Hartford, Connecticut, property values in West Hartford, Connecticut have really gone up over the years because it is such a desirable place to live that has kept homes here in high demand, which of course has raised values. At the same time, it's not just the property values that make it expensive. The mill rate is a little bit higher here than some of the smaller suburban towns in the area and the state. West Hartford has one of the higher mill rates in the state. It's not as high as, say, Hartford, which is a true city, but when you compare it to, say, Farmington or Avon, some of these smaller towns, it is higher. The taxes are higher, so that's something to consider. Home insurance tends to be higher, and car insurance tends to be higher in a town like West Hartford compared to some of the more suburban towns. And really what I think is one of the most underrated cost of living expenses that many folks might not consider, it's being so close to all the restaurants. It's a blessing and a curse, right? You're tempted, you want to go enjoy it when you live here. And that has a cost when you're going out to eat a lot or going to, say, a Whole Foods versus a Stop and Shop. And those things tend to add up in terms of cost of living. So again, for some people, this might not even bother them. For others, it's good to know if you're really balancing your checkbook and making sure your cost of living is in a certain range. These are all the things I want you to look at to make sure that you're comfortable with your monthly expenses before you dive in. So con number 3 is traffic. Here in West Hartford, we have over 64,000 people that live here. The town itself is made up like a grid with lots of stoplights, which makes it easy to get places. It's hard to get lost because it's a grid, but it also creates a lot of traffic. If you're looking at rush hour in the morning or the afternoon, it can take about 15 minutes to get from one side of the town to the next. So again, if you're trying to plan out your day, your work-life balance, taking this into consideration is something that's really important before you move into the town of West Hartford. Con number 4 is the weather. So if you're from the Northeast, you're used to it. But for the folks that are coming in from different parts of the country, the weather can be a shocker. We have 4 true seasons here in West Hartford, Connecticut. The summer's hot. The winter is cold with a lot of snow, a lot of ice, which can be a lot for folks. And the thing about the winter that is a little sneaky is the daylight gets shorter. A lot of times you come home from work at 4:30 and it's dark, right? Which that could take a little bit of a toll on you if it's not something that you're used to. Now, a lot of folks love spring, right? Because you kind of get that cooler temperature where it's not too hot, not too cold. And my personal favorite is fall. It's crisp, it's cool, it's not very humid. I love the leaves changing colors. A lot of folks tend to like that part of the year. However, those leaves fall, which makes for messy cleanup, extra work or expense, which if you're not used to it, can definitely be a con. So the last con I want to talk about is parking. We are here in the center now, and there's a lot of spots, there's a lot of lots, but as you can see behind me, a lot of them are full, right? So everybody wants to come enjoy the center of town and all the great things West Hartford has to offer. The challenge that creates is it can take some time to find parking. So like anything, plan ahead, make sure you give yourself a little bit of extra time in case you have to drive around a little bit. Sometimes you got to make a couple laps. There are a few parking garages down in the Blueback area and then up in the center area, which you can always use and then kind of walk into town from there. But again, this is something to be aware of, because if you think you're just going to pull up and come in any time of day, that's not reality. You have to plan accordingly, because the parking can definitely frustrate folks here in West Hartford. So that's what I got. That's my pros and cons list of West Hartford, Connecticut. As a local realtor here, as somebody that lives here and is raising my family here. If you live here in town, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you think I missed a pro or a con, please drop it in the comment section below. I would love to have that added in so people that are watching these videos can get even more information to help them with their decisions. And again, don't be shy. If you do have questions, myself, my team, we are always happy to talk. You can call, you can text, you can email. We're here.